Hey there, what's happening YouTube? Thanks for tuning back into the channel today, right here with the Rustbelt Mechanic. So today we are doing something really exciting. We're going to be diving into the exact number amounts of what a professional master mechanic is going to be worth. Now this might be for you mechanics that are just getting into the field, might be for the master mechanics looking to change things up, switch shops, or maybe even a dealership service manager who's looking to get another technician into that master mechanic spot. We're going to go through all the possibilities today and exactly what they're going to cost and how much they're worth. Now, the major things that I'm going to have to preface this today on is the numbers that I received for the information on this video. Now, obviously, these pay scales and all of these number counts are going to vary greatly depending on exactly where you're at in the country, what kind of training level you're at, what kind of field you work in, exactly what manufacturer you might work for. But today I kind of kept it to a nice even pay scale, a nice even thing all the way across the board. Myself, if you guys didn't know already, I went through the Chrysler CAT program back in like 2008 through 2010. So it was a while ago, and I went through that program and I asked a lot of my old buddies who I went to school with, as well as some of the technicians who graduated from schools or went into different Chrysler fields and are master mechanics right now. So all of these numbers are based on what those technicians see or have seen over the last, I'd say, 6 or 7 years going into the field. Now for this situation, we're going to go and dive into exactly what it's going to cost to get each of these technicians either up to the master mechanic status or steal them from another employer, because right now everybody knows that we have a real shortage of especially trained mechanics in the automotive field anymore. So these dealerships, unfortunately, they're not wanting to take the time to train their technicians. They want to be able to get somebody in who's already trained, so therefore they're going to have to steal them from another dealership, i.e. they're going to have to pay a lot more money for them as well.
Show me the money.
We're also going to base this just off of the dealership status, because I don't have enough information to be able to put this through on the field of the independent guys in the independent shops, but we might do that in a later video as well. But as far as dealership, we have a lot of training that we have to go through every single year, and even more training when we first get into the field to be able to get acclimated into that brand and know what we're actually dealing with. Now in that training, there's going to be 8 different skill levels. You've got brakes, air conditioning, engine performance, transmission, manual trans, driveline, the whole 9 yards, 8 different skill level areas. And then also other certifications after the fact that you graduate. You're going to have to get all 8 of your ASEs plus your L1 status as well to be able to keep that master level certification. So now let's go into the cost factor on what it's going to cost the dealership to get you up to that master certified status. So on average, in those 8 different skill levels, you're going to have 10 courses in each one of those. So obviously, it's going to give you 80 different courses that you're going to have to take over your career, at least the first, I'd say 5 to 6 years, to be able to get trained up to that master level certification. Now, those courses, they're not free. They cost the dealership money. On average, they cost the dealership $300 per course to be able to take. Now, that's just the online training ones. If you're talking about the in-person training ones, those you're going to have to foot the bill for you to take a car to that place. Some of the dealerships even pay for your food allowance while you're there as well. So we're going to say on average, those courses are going to cost them $400. Right now in Chrysler's world, I'd say that we're going to see about 40% of the classes are going to be in-person learning, and 60% of those courses are going to be the online, the web-based training courses and everything like that. Now over that time period, the dealership, once they've paid for all of your training courses, all 80 of them in person and over the road, get you there and everything, they're going to end up paying right at $27,200. Now also the dealerships, they usually pay for you guys to take your ASE tests as well. They usually refund the money once you hit the pass level on each one of them. That's usually the standard portion here in the Midwest. That's going to cost them an additional $540. That's just if you take all 8 courses plus your L1 certification all within the same quarter period, which not too many people do. So if you have to pay a little bit extra each time, it's like an additional $43 for registration fee. So you'll have to end up paying more. But like I said, we just wanted to go for a nice even number. So their total bill that they're going to be paying for your training over that amount of time is going to be $27,740. Now, the hard part to calculate into this is the worth and the cost of the time period, because that training, it doesn't happen instantaneously. And as you guys know, right now in the time of COVID, it's even harder to get trained. These service centers and the training centers aren't open. They're scared that we're going to be passing this thing all the way around, even though normally these classes don't have any more than 8 or so technicians, and they're in really large facilities, but you know, that's how things go. Vid. You gotta watch out for that vid.
Kevin Hart's got a Tuesday. Kevin Hart, hashtag the vid.
So we're gonna say on a good year that the COVID really isn't taking hold of everything. From what I have seen and what I have talked to people, for the students who are just going through those training courses while they're working in the dealership full time, it's gonna take them a full 5.5 to 6 years of time to be able to get all 80 of those training courses and all of their ASE levels passed as well. So you're looking at 6 years to get that done. 6 long years. Now, is that going to be worth it for you as a dealer? Well, we're going to do some more math to find that out as well. Now, the other thing that you might have to look forward to is the fact that maybe you're a student who's going to be going into a professional degree program like the Chrysler CAT program or the GM ASEP program. Honda Pact has one, Ford has one. Pretty much all the manufacturers have their own one. Now, that's going to take it down drastically. That's going to drop it down an additional 2.5 years off of that 6 years. So they're going to be looking at only spending about 3.5 years to be able to get up to that full master certification status. But at the same time, which you guys will find out later once we start adding numbers up, you know, it's a little bit harder to, I guess, fulfill your living status while you're in school going to college, which really might make more sense to some of those kids rather than the guys who are maybe in their mid-30s and wanting to get back into the degree program. Now, I'm going to grab my little whiteboard over here just to start adding up all the tallies while we're going through all these informational bits as we go along. Now, sorry for all of my crude drawings and everything, but this is kind of what I have to work with. It's going to show what we need to. We can see we've got everything split up over a 6-year time period, which is what I said. Normally, when you're talking about growing a technician and getting him all the way through training, it's going to take approximately 6 years. Now, we've got 3 different things here to be able to show you. We've got our charts here in these 2 lines where we're going to be stealing a technician from another dealership, which means we're going to be paying a higher rate. We're going to say they're making more hours because they're already a master tech. Here, we're growing a technician from the baseline up. We're going to go through, it's going to take us 6 years to get them trained and the cost of what it's going to be. And then we've got a tech school student right here in this side of the lines. Now, this is going to be also beneficial for you guys who might be interested in going into this area or the tech school area, so pay attention here. So now, for the dealership who's wanting to steal a technician, we're going to talk about, these are the columns for the total hours that they're going to pulling in on average per week. For the first year, we're going to say they pull in 48 hours a week on average, and they get slowly better throughout them getting comfortable in the atmosphere. And we're going to say on average, from what I have talked to the technicians, they're going to average out at about 55 hours per week right here in the Midwest. Now, cost-wise, what's it going to cost you per hour to be able to get them? Your first year, to steal one out, you know, middle-aged or so kind of guy, it's going to cost you $28 an hour to get that person. Also here, we're going to say we're going to go incrementally up. Over a couple of years, and I went off of somebody's actual hours that they ended up doing after they switched dealerships as well. So we're going to go $30 an hour there. We've got $30 an hour in the 3rd year. $32 an hour in their 4th, $33 in their 5th, and $34 an hour in their 6th and final year right there. So now we're going to have to find out, multiplying these two, and then obviously by 52 weeks in a year, how much this technician is going to cost the dealership per year. This one right here is going to be $64,000 $888 in their first year. Going up. Fast forward through this one a little bit. So there we can see here, after the 6 years amount of time, we come to a total of $510,484. In the 6th year, he's rounding out at $97,240. Now let's go through what kind of stuff we're going to see on your grown technician side of things. Now on these side of things here, when we're talking about the hours as a grown technician, your first year, you're obviously pretty green, but you are spending full time in the dealership, so you're going to be getting better a little bit faster than we're going to say what the tech school guy is, because more hands-on training has usually meant to more hours per the hour at the flat rate level. Like I said, we're just going off of guys who I've interviewed here in the Midwest who went through a Chrysler program, so this is what we're going to see through this one. So we're going to see these about approximate amount of hours per week on average for this one. So now let's see how much they're getting paid per hour though. So there we can see where they were getting paid $16 an hour to start off in their first year, and over a gradual amount of time, over 6 years, they ended up at $28 an hour. Now how much did they make per year? All right, so then they started off at about 24 grand, 25 grand, and they worked themselves up through the 6th year, all the way up to about $75,712, which puts them at a grand total of $298,272 after their 6th year. Okay, now let's talk about the tech school guy. Fill in their hours. Now, starting off the tech school guys, they're going to make a lot less their first 2 years because they're in a 2-year program, so they only spend half their time in the dealership. So we're going to say that averaging these things out, they're going to make less in the beginning of the year and over their amount at the end of the year, so we even it all out, and we're going to say that they make on average 20 hours the first year and only about 28 hours the second year while they're in school. Now, after their 3rd year of school, that's where things really start to kick off for these guys, because they're graduating at a level 3 certified level. Now, that's not quite master certified. That doesn't give you pretty much everything. You got to take approximately another year to a year and a half worth of some training courses, but those are not exactly required right off the bat. You're already level 3 certified, so that gets you into doing a lot more certified work in the dealership. So after that, we're going to be cranking up the time. There we go. Now we're going to see their hours jumping up exponentially there. Now their cost is going to be different as well. They're going to be a little bit cheaper because obviously they're going to be there as much to start off with there. So we're going to see those guys only starting out about $14 and $16 an hour for their first couple of years. Some of them might catch on faster, start learning earlier, and might get even thrown into flat rate a little bit on the early side. That's really depends on the time and where they're going to be at within their training. So that's what we're starting off on average there. Now, after they get out of school, that's where it really jumps up. They're making on average $23 an hour after they get out of the CAT program, and another year after they're up at $25 an hour. And then ends them out at their 6th year at $30 an hour on average right now is what we're going to be seeing. All right, now how much are they going to get paid for all this? This is depressing. Like, these two squares, they suck for the guys that go to school, because I mean, you're in school and you're not making very much. So $14,560. I don't know how you're going to live on that half the time, but hopefully, like I said, most of these guys are going to be the ones who are teenagers coming right out of school, hopefully still living with somebody else to be able to help support them on their way. $23,296. Now this is where things really start to light up for them. When they get out of school, they're going to be making right around 50 grand a year, usually on average from what we saw. About 48 to 51,000 is what we're seeing. So with these average numbers, you're going to be just a hair over right at 50 grand. Stepping up a little bit more, 59,800, and then we get up into the 70s. Once you start making that big old $28 an hour cheddar, and then we jump all the way up to 84,240 bucks, which in the end gives them a total after 6 years of $306,000, 384 cents in total money made. Now you can see the difference here in between the two. Obviously that one's going to be massive because these guys are already trained. They've probably been in the field for another 10, 15 years. These are the two that you guys are wanting to look at, whether you're thinking of just going straight to the dealership and getting in and doing what you can, or whether you're going to go to tech school and seeing what you can do. It's painful up here. It is. It really is painful for those first 2 years, but after 6 years of time, you can see how it really starts to pay off exponentially after that point. Now, how about their expenditures? So now we know how much they're making in total. We have to add in how much they're going to cost us at the dealership to keep them up into the certified status. Now, the big dog over here, we're going to call him BD, big dog, the one we stole from the other dealership, he made a whopping $510,000 or 84. That's what he made. Now we have to keep him certified throughout those 6 years. On average, these technicians have to go through 2 in-person trainings as well as 3 online trainings. Going with the cost that we had before, that's going to be about $1,700 per year for those guys. So that's going to cost us an additional 10,200 bones to keep these guys trained up. $10,200 per 6 years. Not bad. So keeping them up to date and up to shape, not really all that bad at all. So total cost that it's going to cost the dealership is going to be $520,684. All right, so that's our total expenditure on that one right there. All right, so now the guy that we are training, this is the greenie, who's just going to work his way slowly but surely all the way up. He made a whopping $298,272 over the 6 years. And then we have to have him trained. Now, earlier we talked about how much it was going to take to get him trained. And on top of that, adding in your ASCs, that's going to cost the dealership, from what I said, $27,740 bones, which gives a grand total of $326,012 from the payroll that you're going to be paying this person and how much it costs to get them trained. That's how much it costs for a greenie over 6 years. Now, how about your tech school, your star pupil? We'll just give him a star because he's a cool dude like that. Now, he made $306,384. So he made more over the years, even though his first 2 years were agonizingly painful to go through. Now, also, you got to think of a couple of different things for the training on these greenies. You guys aren't paying for this $27,740 on these guys. If they're going to cap school, some dealerships might throw in incentives, like they might pay for the school, they might pay for a couple of other things, but most of the time, from what I'm seeing in this area, is they are giving these students a tool stipend, I guess, to go to school, and that's also going to give them a guarantee in signing a contract that they will be at the dealership for 2 years after they graduate. So that's going to get them contracted in for 4 years. So that might be something that's a little bit better looking to the dealerships. So that's going to cost them, we'll say, for the $5,000 tool stipend, keeps them right there. Now, like I said, after their 2 years, they're not quite master certified. They got about a year, year and a half worth of stuff to do. That's going to be about 25% of the cost of this $27,740, which is $6,935. which is going to cost the dealership over that 6 years a total of $318,319. So there is your total cost, what it's going to cost the dealership to pay for these technicians over this 6-year amount of time. So keep that in mind, and these are your numbers for the guys who are doing the working on how much you're going to get paid over that amount of time, whether that's going to be worth it or not to you to make those kind of jumps, or to start into the field. Pay attention to those numbers. Maybe look into the tech school kind of thing, guys. You might make more money over time if you can live through that first 2 years. Now we're going to get into the big dollars and cents worth. Now when we're talking about business-wise, what it's going to give the dealership to have these kind of guys over this amount of time, whether it's worth it for you to get or keep a technician who's been trained for a while, get yourself a greenie, or whether you're going to start yourself off with a star pupil from a training academy. Greenie. And we got ourselves a big dog. Okay, so we got our 3 set there. Now, how are we going to add all this up, and how are we going to quantify what we're worth? Like I said, there's going to be a whole lot of different factors in it, and we're just going to have to go off of averages for numbers' sake, because we like averages and, actual numbers. So adding up all of our numbers and all of our hours that we said that they were going to make per year on average per week, this dude, Big Dog, is going to make us 16,328 hours over his 6-year period. The Greenie, he's going to make us a whopping 13,104 hours over his time period. And our star pupil over here is going to be there a little bit less over the first 2 years, make it up a little bit more, but still only comes out at about 12,104 hours that you're making for the dealership as a total. All right, now let's factor in the other things on what are you making per hour. Now here in this area of the state, yeah, you guys can make fun of, but on average over that 6 years, we're just going to average it out at $125 an hour. And we're multiplying this times our 125 bucks per hour that it's making. So over that 6 years of time, on average, $125 an hour. At that rate, you're going to be making from this person 2,041,000 bones right there. The Greenie is going to make you 1,638,000 even right there. And then our star pupil is going to make us a whopping $1,513,000. Now, the odd thing, like I said before, is this star pupil is also going to be making a little bit more money over that amount of time, and he's going to get you to that certified spot. But like I said, we'll talk about some of those ups and downs afterwards. Now let's factor in our costs for what it cost us. He cost us $520,684. He cost us $326,012, and the star pupil cost us $318,319. We're going to subtract, total these up. Our Big Dog, over the 6-year period of time, made us $1,520,316. Our Greenie made us $1,311,988 bones, and our star pupil made us $1,194,681 bones. There we are, guys. Numbers do not lie. That is what they ended up being. Now, again, like I said, they are going to be generalities. Working here in the Northwest, the guys who are coming right out of tech school, this can be obviously pretty give and trade for an ASAP program or a Honda Pack program, something in these levels from what we're seeing in this area, and how much are technicians currently making in this area as well. You guys can see from a business aspect what it's going to make you over that amount of time. Now what you have to do as the business leaders or the service managers, the shop foreman, is you're going to have to decide what kind of a technician do you need for your certain spot. Do you want to have a big dog? Now, pluses and minuses of this guy. You're going to have to pay more for him. You know, you're going to have a lot more expenditures per year up front. He's also going to make you more money at the same time going through that. You're not going to have to spend a whole lot of money when it comes into training. But again, he's the big dog. He came from another place and you had to pay a lot of money to be able to get that guy. So generally, he's going to be kind of set in his ways and, you know, he's just going to be doing his thing. Also, you got to watch out for these guys in their age range. Where are they at? If you're stealing him from another dealership, is he already in his 50s? Is he going to be able to give you those 6 years of time as a master technician? Is he going to keep up with all of his training? You don't know, because these guys, you're paying them a lot. You're not getting them on contract. They're going to be able to walk out at any time they want, but that's the whole prudent part of being the big dog. You kind of get what you want and you have to get what you pay for there. Now for the greenie guy, these guys are obviously, from what we said comparative to our star pupil, they're making a lot more right up front. They're going to make a couple extra $10,000, $11,000 more per year for the first 2 years. But afterwards, your star pupil is going to start catching up, because when he graduates, he starts hitting the bigger dollar amounts. Now, obviously, compared to the big dog, this guy is going to cost you a whole lot less money over time, because you're paying him a whole lot less in the amount of hours and all. But at the same time, he's not exactly making you a whole lot more. So, got to factor that one in there. But the fact that this guy's a greenie, is he coming in at 20 years old, 21 years old? So at the end of that 6 years, he's only at 26 years old. It depends on what kind of an atmosphere you have in your shop and what kind of guy you're looking for. If that's the kind of seat you're looking to fill, that's how much it's going to end up costing you. There's how much it's going to end up making you. Now for your star pupil, these are the kind of guys that a lot of these dealerships and guys in the CTC world are kind of looking for, because they offer a little bit more incentive-wise for the student. They're going to be giving them more money in tools. They're going to be obviously short up front. There's not going to be a whole lot of money that the dealership's going to have to throw in right off the bat. It's just going to be the amount of time you have to spend with that person. So we have right there, they're not making a whole lot for you in the way of hours, especially right up front, but over the amount of time, they end up, I'd say within the next year or two, they're going to be caught up or equal to your greenie right there in those respects. Plus, you've got this guy on contract for another year or two, and generally, he's probably going to be a little bit more happy because he is making more money. He's got a certification, and he's got a college degree. How about them apples?
How do you like them apples?
All right, guys, I know that was a whole lot of numbers and a whole lot of mumbo jumbo kind of thrown together, but I think that gives you guys an idea of where you're going to be coming from cost-wise, either as a dealership who's looking to fill a spot and be a place that needs a really good technician, what it's going to cost you, whether you want one of those big dogs, whether you want to grow a greenie, or whether you want to grow a technician up as a star pupil through the Chrysler CAT program, through the GM ASAP program. Those are some generalities in which you're going to see. You also have to weigh out exactly all the negatives, all the costs, and what you're going to need exactly in a technician, whether you need them certified right away, right now, or whether you're going to be thinking ahead of time, which not enough dealerships do much of anymore, actually thinking ahead of time. But they need to think ahead of time and hopefully be able to get those, because the guys who are the big dogs, they're going to cost you more and more as time goes on, and as this, I guess, crisis shortage of technicians in the automotive field moves on farther and farther. Well, boys and girls, that's about all the information I've got for you today. If you guys like this kind of content, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on that bell notification so you get notified when I come out with cool, awesome content, just like this one here today. Don't forget about the thumbs up as well. Not enough guys really like to hit that thumbs up. It's just the little button right there. that little thumbs up button. Go ahead and push it. I appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, you guys stay awesome.